Happy belated Halloween, everyone. I know it's November 1st, 2024. But I must face it, some chills just linger, right? Especially when you're diving deep into the world of a certain red-headed menace.
Ah, you mean the one, the only Chucky? It's fascinating how this killer doll has burrowed his way into our collective psyche. 8 films, a TV series, even video games. He's practically a horror mascot at this point.
Exactly. So for this Haunt Narratives Halloween Week special, we're taking a deep dive into the dark and twisted history of Chucky. And I have to ask, what is it about a killer doll that freaks us out so much? Is it the juxtaposition of innocence and evil? The uncanny valley effect?
I think it's a combination of things. Dolls are supposed to represent comfort, childhood, maybe even a bit of magic. To twist that, to infuse a doll with murderous intent, it taps into a very primal fear. It's like the ultimate betrayal of something we're programmed to see as safe.
You're hitting on something really interesting there. It's like that fear is baked into our DNA.
Yeah.
But let's back up a bit and talk about where this whole Chucky phenomenon began.
Well, we have to give credit to Don Mancini, the mastermind behind it all. He's the creator of the Child's Play franchise. And what's remarkable is his dedication. He's been involved in every single film and the TV series, shaping Chucky's journey for over 3 decades.
Talk about a long-term commitment to terror. So the first film, Child's Play, hit theaters back in 1988. What was the world like back then? I mean, was there anything quite like Chucky before he came along?
There had certainly been killer dolls in horror before, but Chucky brought something different to the table. First, the timing was perfect. The late 80s had this wave of slasher films, and Chucky tapped into that same visceral energy.
Right, but he wasn't just another masked killer hacking and slashing his way through victims.
Exactly. Chucky was something smaller, more insidious. He was this unassuming, even cute doll that could easily blend into the background. But that made him even more terrifying. He could be anywhere watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
He was like a tiny terror lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, this was a time when practical effects ruled the horror scene.
Absolutely. The use of puppetry to bring Chucky to life was groundbreaking. Those movements, those expressions, they had a tangible, almost visceral quality that resonated with audiences. It felt real, and that made it all the more disturbing.
It's true. The puppetry added a layer of creepiness that CGI just couldn't replicate at the time. So walk us through Chucky's origin story. How did this seemingly innocent good guy doll become a pint-sized killing machine?
Well, in the original film series, Chucky is possessed by the soul of Charles Lee Ray, a notorious serial killer known as the Lakeshore Strangler.
Wait, so it's like a body swap horror story, but with a doll? That's so messed up.
Exactly. Cornered by police, Ray uses a voodoo ritual to transfer his soul into the nearest vessel he can find, a good guy doll. And let's just say things get very messy from there.
And this sets the stage for the entire franchise. A serial killer trapped in a doll's body, wreaking havoc on anyone who gets in his way.
Precisely. It's a simple concept, but incredibly effective. And it allowed for a lot of creative freedom in terms of storytelling.
And speaking of storytelling, Chucky's journey through film is quite a ride.
It really is. Chucky has had more sequels than most horror villains could even dream of. The first 3 films stuck with the Child's Play title, but starting with the 4th, they switched it up to just Chucky.
I guess by then everyone just knew who you were talking about when you said Chucky. No explanation needed. But that's something I've always been curious about is the shift in tone throughout the series. You've got the straight-up horror of the first film, but then it gets a little campier, a little more tongue-in-cheek in the sequels.
That's a great observation. It's almost as if Chucky himself is evolving, embracing his own absurdity. And some of the humor, especially in the later films, gets pretty dark. It's that blend of horror and humor that makes him such a unique character.
It definitely keeps things interesting. And speaking of interesting, there's one film in particular that kind of stands out. Bride of Chucky. We're introduced to Tiffany, voiced by the amazing Jennifer Tilly. And things get, well, let's just say complicated.
Complicated is an understatement. Suddenly, Chucky isn't just a killer doll. He's got a love interest, a partner in crime. And Tiffany, voiced by Tilly, with that perfect blend of sultry and psychotic, is a force to be reckoned with.
It's like they took the crazy and multiplied it by 10. But you mentioned something earlier about a reboot. Didn't they try to reimagine the whole Chucky concept a few years back?
They did. In 2019, they released a reboot simply titled Chucky, but this time there was no Charles Lee Ray, no soul transfer. Instead, they made Chucky a high-tech AI doll gone rogue.
So they went for the whole technology run-amok angle. I guess that makes sense considering our ever-growing reliance on technology. It plays into those fears of losing control, of the machines turning on us.
Precisely. And it reflects how our fears have evolved. But for many fans, myself included, there's something about that original concept, that soul trapped in a doll's body, that just hits harder.
There's a certain rawness, a visceral quality to the original that's hard to replicate. But let's not forget Chucky's adventures on the small screen. In 2021, he got his own TV series, also called Chucky.
And it was a brilliant move. The show was a continuation of the original film series, bringing back familiar faces like Andy Barclay, the boy Chucky originally terrorized, and Kyle, Andy's foster sister from Child's Play 2. It felt like a true continuation of Chucky's legacy.
And of course, Brad Dourif returned to voice Chucky. That voice is just iconic. You can't imagine anyone else bringing that character to life. It's gravelly menacing, and yet there's a hint of dark humor in there, too.
Dourif's performance is a huge part of what makes Chucky so memorable. He manages to convey both the menace and the mischievousness that make the character so compelling.
Absolutely. It's like he's always one step ahead, plotting his next move. But beyond the voice, the thing that really brings Chucky to life, that makes him so terrifyingly real, is the puppetry.
You're right. Don Mancini has always insisted on using practical effects, especially puppetry, to bring Chucky to life. Even with all the advancements in CGI, he's stuck to his guns, so to speak, and it's paid off.
It's a testament to his vision. I mean, can you imagine Chucky as a purely CGI creation? It just wouldn't have the same impact.
Not at all. The puppetry gives Chucky a weight, a physical presence that makes him seem more real, more threatening, and the craftsmanship involved is phenomenal.
It's mind-blowing. It takes a whole team of puppeteers to operate Chucky. With different puppets designed for specific actions, they have to coordinate every movement, every facial expression, to make him seem believable.
It's like a macabre ballet, with each puppeteer playing a crucial role in bringing this pint-sized terror to life. And it's all done with such precision, such attention to detail. You can see why Chucky continues to terrify audiences, even after all these years.
It's a true testament to the power of practical effects. Of course, they do use some digital touch-ups to remove the puppeteers and any supports from the final cut, but the core of Chucky's performance is pure puppetry. And that's what gives him that uncanny, unsettling quality.
It's that blend of the familiar and the strange. We recognize the doll, but the way it moves, the way it expresses itself, it's just off enough to trigger a primal fear response in us.
And I think that's what makes Chucky such a lasting horror icon. He taps into something deep within us, a fear of the things we thought were safe, the things that are supposed to bring us comfort. He takes those expectations and twists them into something dark and terrifying.
You've hit the nail on the head. Chucky is a reminder that even in the most mundane, the most innocent of objects, darkness can lurk.
So as we wrap up this exploration of Chucky's long and bloody reign of terror, I'm left with a question. Why does he continue to fascinate us? What is it about this killer doll that keeps us coming back for more?
It's a question that has haunted me as well. For some, it could be the masterful blend of horror and humor, the sheer audacity of a killer doll running amok. But I believe there's something more profound at play.
I'm listening.
I think it's the way Chucky reflects our own anxieties. He embodies this fear of the unknown, the things that go bump in the night. But more than that, he represents the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of the ordinary.
Yeah. That's so true. He takes something we associate with childhood, with innocence, and turns it into a nightmare. It's like a violation of something sacred.
Exactly. And that violation, that sense of betrayal, it sticks with us. It's primal, instinctive. And I think that's why Chucky has endured for so long. He taps into something fundamental about the human experience. Our fear of the things that are supposed to protect us, the things we trust.
It's like he reminds us that evil can wear many masks, even the mask of a seemingly harmless doll. And maybe that's what keeps us coming back. We want to confront that fear, to explore the darkness, to test the boundaries of what we believe is safe.
Perhaps it's a way of facing our own inner demons. After all, isn't that what horror is all about? It's a safe space to explore our deepest fears, to confront the things that terrify us in a controlled environment.
Right. It's like a cathartic release, a way of purging those anxieties through the experience of watching someone else face them. And Chucky, with his wicked grin and his penchant for chaos, he's the perfect guide for that journey into the heart of darkness.
He's a reminder that even in a world filled with technology and progress, there are still primal forces at work. Forces we can't always control or understand. And maybe that's what makes him so compelling. He's a symbol of the enduring power of fear, the darkness that continues to haunt us, even as we try to rationalize it away.
So as we turn off the lights on this deep dive into the world of Chucky, remember, the line between innocence and evil can be razor thin. And sometimes, the things that bring us comfort can also be the source of our greatest fears. Until next time, sleep tight. And don't let the good guys bite the